So I'm hoping you're all enjoying watching me kind of finish off the games of Fire Red, as much as I enjoyed playing it. And I'm making this video now to kind of explain what is coming next. And I've had a few messages from people recommending on what to come next, and the one that intrigued me the most was Emerald Seaglass. So Emerald Seaglass is a new ROM for the Emerald Pokémon game. And it really enticed me when I started looking into it. So to kind of give a background to my experience with Pokémon, and I might have mentioned this before, but my cousin got the Ruby game, and for his Game Boy Advance or Game Boy, or whatever it was at the time. And I remember that was my kind of trigger to buy Fire Red and Leaf Green. And I remember having the option to buy Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire or Emerald instead, but because I was kind of, for some reason it really concerned me that I would be viewed as like copying him, I decided not to buy it and I bought Fire Red and Leaf Green instead. So I kind of just missed out on those games. I know a lot of people since then have told me that those games are their favourites, and I just kind of missed out. There was an instance where I nearly played the game. I was going skiing with some friends, and we were in Austria, and there was like a little retro game shop there. And I bought Pokemon, I think it was Ruby at the time, like I bought it from there and it was quite cheap. But I didn't realise the game was in Austrian, and I didn't have any way to change it to English. And I tried my best to play the game in Austrian, but I really did not get very far. So that's my only experience with the like Ruby, Sapphire, or Emerald games. And one of the things that really enticed me about playing Emerald Seaglass is that I can actually provide a unique experience where my first instance of playing through this game is through Emerald Seaglass, rather than playing the original Emerald first. Now, I will just kind of go through what is Emerald Seaglass. So Emerald Seaglass, as I've said, is a ROM, and it has a few changes made to Emerald that I'll just go through now. So the visuals have been changed to make it look more kind of retro. The sprites have kind of been updated, and it's kind of gone back to more the pixelated art that you would see on like a Game Boy Color, which I'm quite excited for. They've added more Pokemon, so all of the Pokemon from Generation 1 to 3 have been added, as well as like evolutions of existing Pokemon that are kind of come in later in Gen 9. So for example, the one I'm particularly excited to see is Anhilape. As like a lot of you know, I used a Primeape in my Fire Red run through, and I love Anhilape, and I would love to see Anhilape as a kind of pixelated retro style. They've also made some changes to Pokemon types. So for example, Butterfree is now a Bug Psychic type. Blastoise is a Water Steel type, and there are a few others. But just from this alone, my Fire Red team would be almost completely different. My Primeape would be an Anhilape, Butterfree would be Bug Psychic, Blastoise would be Water Steel. It would change the game. For at least half of my team that I used in the Fire Red run through. So something else they've done is that the moves have now been categorized by physical and special nature, rather than like typing. So it won't just be all the water types together. They've added the fairy type, which I'm a big fan of, because it'll help me help me know a bit more as to what's super effective against what. So there's more modern movesets from the later games kind of added to the Pokemon in this game, rather than kind of the older one that is in Emerald. You get early XP share, which I am very looking forward to, because it'll be really handy and save a lot of time on grinding, as I'm sure I expressed through my Fire Red run-through. probably the one that I think most people are excited for and call out for at all times is that your Pokemon walks behind you in the game. And honestly, when did they first do this? Was it like, I know in Pokemon Yellow you had just your Pikachu walk behind you the whole time. But was it Heart Gold where they first introduced that like whatever Pokemon was at the front of your team now walks behind you? Because honestly, I don't know why they ever stopped doing that. I feel like that was everyone's all-time favourite new addition. And then they just kind of stopped. So I'm very excited for that. They've added some new mini-games that you get to play along the way, which I'm sure I will show you when I come across them. The effectiveness of your move is shown in the battle. And I know this is not what everyone kind of wants, because I know there's like skill involved in remembering what's effective against what. For me personally, I'm quite excited by this because, as you'll be aware now, I kept getting that wrong. So I am very excited to have this just explained, and I don't have to have like a little sheet next to me in order to do the best I can in my team. And one that I could sing about, there is no more need to teach your Pokemon HMs. If you watch the Fire Red playthrough, you'll know that I had a big issue with having to catch just a random Pokemon I didn't even want, just to put it in my team as like a filler to just use as an axe to cut through trees and things. And it just took up a slot, and I hated having to do that. It felt so annoying and wrong. And I'm calling out you. So I'm so happy. You get the HMs and you do have to use them, but I think just having them in your bag counts as being able to use them. You don't have to specifically teach it to a Pokemon, which just means you can have the team you want to have. You don't have to just find one you're not even that fussed about, put it in your team, just for the sake of being able to get through the game, which I'm a big fan of. They've also put the shiny odds back to kind of what they used to be, so when it's harder to catch shinies rather than easier. And again, I'm quite a big fan of this. I think this has been quite a big hot topic recently as the newer games, especially Pokemon Go, make it easier and easier to catch shinies, and it kind of, they lost their value. Like, I remember in school when we'd talk about like who had shiny and who had a shiny of what. It really carried weight that you were able to catch a shiny and actually have a shiny found. And the new odds and with the community days in Pokemon Go and everything like that, it just kind of falls a bit flat when everyone could just have a shiny of anything they wanted. So I'm quite excited by that. I would be surprised if we got a shiny, but I feel like that's how it should be. I should be pleasantly surprised more so than just expecting one. And that's it. That's Emerald Seaglass. The next few videos that will come out, obviously, will be me playing through Emerald Seaglass. And if you are interested in seeing what that looks like, then stick around.